Good afternoon. Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank Almighty God for giving us this platform that we could speak to our listening viewers. And my name is Brother Esquire. Welcome to the All Men Are Not Created Equal podcast. Again, this is going to be a tremendous, tremendous podcast. And we are totally honored that we're going to speak with one of the premier martial artists, life coaches that we have in and without our community. And if you grew up in New York City like I did, every Saturday at 3 o'clock, whether you're playing football games on the streets, whether you're shooting hoops, whatever you're doing, you made sure you put that away so that you could run to your TV set. And at the time, we only had about maybe 4 or 5 channels, but we had to tune into Channel 5, where the Kung Fu flicks were out. And martial arts was a super heavy influence on my generations in the 70s and 80s growing up. In fact, we went to Jamaica Avenues and bought those fake Kung Fu slippers and the fake gis and the nunchucks. And without any training, we were out there battling each other. But today we have a sensei with us from our community that's been doing tremendous work worldwide. And he's home based, however, in the South Bronx. And at this time, I would like you to welcome our guest of the All Men Are Not Created Equal podcast, our guest, Jadi Tention, our sensei. Welcome, Sensei Us.
Brother, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here today. Today is really a tremendous day where we're going to talk about your lifestyle. Better yet, your fight style is your lifestyle. What do you mean by that, Sensei?
I'm a firm believer in that anything that you do, you take any place you go, anything that you do, you take yourself with you. Oftentimes, just from a martial arts standpoint, by the way I deal with somebody in particular, I can absolutely tell you many things about their personality based on their approach. If they're patient, impatient, ego, pride, if they're calculated, if they're thinking about what they want to do, I can pretty much tell you who you are by the way you do things, particularly in martial arts. But the way you do one thing many times is the way you do all things. So that's when I say your fight style is your lifestyle.
Okay, to get into the history of, I kind of gave you my introduction into the martial arts was through Channel 5 on Saturdays. How did you get started with martial arts?
Oh, well, one day my mother told me, Sister Olivia, that all men should know how to fight and all men should be able to protect their families. That was what I was about 13 years old. And I told her, I said, I know how to fight. She said, no, you don't. You think you do. And she put me in a karate school. And my first instructor was a gentleman named Sharif Nasheed. He's always been with me to college. And I'll be pleased with him. And that's how it all got started. She felt like part of my manhood training along being in the junior FOI was to learn how to defend myself. And then she felt like if you're going to be around these men, you need to know how to fight. And that's how that was the beginning of the journey.
Wow. And shout out to Sister Olivia. Love you, Sister Olivia. And with parents, when it comes to programming, oftentimes you'll find that parents get involved and then for one reason or another may not necessarily stick with it. What have you done in your school to ensure that you have, strong parent involvement? Because I've been down to your school as far as looking at it visually and the work that you've done, meeting some of the students. What have you done to ensure that the parents really understand the commitment of martial arts?
Well, I think it's important that when somebody first walks the door, that first initial conversation, that you have to let them know what's the culture of your school. See, the leader determines the culture. Whoever the leader is, that school or that the personality of whoever's in charge. And the one thing that we always tell parents that children don't quit. And I told them that there's many times when I didn't want to do it. I remember being years old. Friday no more. And I came to my mom and I said, I don't want to do this no more. In the living room. Matter of fact, the same living room when she used to live here, right?
Wow.
Sat me in the living room. She sat right over there. Sat me in the living room. She said, you don't want to do karate no more? And I said, no, ma'am. And she started nodding her head in agreement. So I'm believing that she's supporting me now. And then I start going in a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you know, the instructor, he sweeps me. He yells at me. He's on my back. And he's nodding her head. She says, really? I said, yeah, and he's always on my back about stuff. She said, on your back? I said, yeah. She said, good, it didn't make a man out you, right? And then I said to her, I came out with her with the next counter. I said, well, I'm 18. I feel like I'm old enough to make my own decisions at 18. My mother said, you in my house. And I know what's best for you better than you know what's best for you. So let me tell you this one more time, Jody. Don't let me have a conversation anymore about anything that I pay for you or in this family. And this is the last time we will have this conversation. And that was the last time we had that conversation.
And from there, what did you go on to accomplish? Because, you know, we just have to Google you and we see tons of accomplishments. So I know you pretty modest, but brother, talk to us about some of your achievements and some of your successes through the art of martial arts.
Well, from that point on, my instructor had moved to Washington, D.C. To pursue his career in the government. And I told her, I said, well, if I mean it, I can't stop. I would like to compete. And she said, you want to compete? If you want to compete, I'll back you up and I'll support you. And so this is in 1990. Well, no, this is the beginning when we started being a black belt division. This is 1993. And I said, okay, well, I want to compete. I want to start traveling and stuff. So my mother bought me a ticket to go to California. It was my first time to go to California for a huge tournament out there. And I lost my second fight. And then it was another tournament in Texas in April that I said, well, I want to go to the tournament here. She booked me a plane ticket and she sent me to Texas and I lost my first fight. It was a friend of mine named Akin who said to me, listen, maybe you don't need to go to these nationals. You need to start small and go to these locals. And I hung up the phone on him and I told him, what, you don't believe? Emotional. I was emotional about, I felt like he wasn't supporting what I was saying. And I went on, I kept losing. And came back, maybe you're right, or locals. And I got with a gentleman named, my instructor, my second instructor was a gentleman named Master Sabu. And another gentleman who was like a big mentor to me named Jesse Ray. And Jesse lived in the Bronx, Master Sabu lived in Brooklyn. But Master Sabu was my instructor. Jesse was my peer. But
okay.
I didn't realize how good he was until I went to watch him fight one day. He was the main event. And I was like, man, this guy's good. So I asked him, can I train with him? He told me yes. And the days I make it to Brooklyn, I would go to Jesse. And Jesse and Master Sabu was tight as well. But Jesse was younger than me. Jesse might have been 3 years younger than me. And Master Sabu was, 50 years old at the time.
Wow.
He would just make me work, man, and work. And I lost a lot of tournaments, man. I lost a lot of tournaments. And then I remember trying out for several teams, sponsored teams, and every single one of them told me no. And I remember because dissatisfaction brings about change, right?
Correct.
I was upset that I went to this one team and they told me, the coach told me I wouldn't be that great. I wouldn't be that good. He's like, you're not going, he said, you talk a lot and you're not going to be that good. And I got some books on success. I started getting up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I started running. And then I started training twice a day, 5, 6 days a week. And just my standard of what was acceptable for me at that point, because I was just tired of always losing. And I disappeared for a year. I didn't come out. I didn't do any tournaments for a year. Jesse told me he didn't really want me to do that. And I was like, no, I'm not coming out for a year. And then 1996, I popped out my first tournament, and it was a major event, and I won first place. and it was a sponsor who caught his eye. He was a millionaire. I didn't even know that. He was a good friend, but I didn't even know that. He just drive a Sentra, and he says, I wanna sponsor you. And I'm like, stop playing. Give me your address, Jack. I gave my address, my whole address. I didn't hear from him for about 2 months, and then one day, I'll go open the mailbox, and there's a plane ticket there to go to Minnesota to fight. I'm mad. This guy was serious. He put me on the team. He put Jesse and Akin. He put all of my guys, all of the group I was on. They put him on the team, and we went out to Minnesota. I lost to this great champion at the time. His name was Brian Ruth from Kentucky. He beat me, and I remember him beating me and I went to go shake his hand, and he kind of nudged me like
he shooed you away.
Yeah, that right there, brother. That just, man, that lit a fire inside. I was fighting good. People was like, "Who's this guy?" But I still lost. He was better than me, and man, it put a fire in me. So I got home, and I put his name on my refrigerator, on a wall, and I studied. I got any tape that I could find of him, and I would study the tape. I would watch his habits. I got all of his kids. We grown men. I got all of his kids' fights. He's been doing it for longer than me. And all I would do is I would make this list of all the habits that he did at 10 that he did currently. And I told myself, if he's doing these things at 10 years old that he did at 20, he would do them in the fight because it's who he is. So I knew all of his habits. A year later, my first major tournament, major, was a tournament called the Bluegrass Nationals in Kentucky. He lived there. I go to fight, and they call me and him up first. Now, I know who he is all this time. He doesn't even remember me. I could tell by his demeanor, the way his posture is, and his confidence is oozing off of him, and I can tell. And I'm sitting and looking at him. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, so we come up to shake hands, and he just puts his fist out, and he gives me this nonchalant, dismisses me. I smash him. I beat him terribly in his hometown. And then arrogance came out, but I was mad because I've been sitting on this for a year. I said, what's my and looks at me, and then I'll go on, I'll win the whole tournament. I win the grand. This is my first time winning the grand champion. This is a major tournament. It's the first one. So we go to the next tournament that I see him again. It's in the Diamond Nationals. Again, this is the biggest one of the year. And me and him is in the same division, and he sees me. And his look now, I know he's aware of who I am because he has this, I'm getting revenge now. You beat me the last time, I didn't know who you was, and I beat him again. And I walk up to him, I said, what's my name? That's what I tell him. Now there's a tournament a month later that's in New York City that he never comes over to this side of the world. I get there, and he's there at the tournament, and I know he's there for me. And he lines up right next to me, shoulder to shoulder. So we fight again, and I beat him like really fast, really. And then I said, my city, my town, I run this division. This is my house. Start talking.
Wait, is this still in the Bluegrass, Kentucky? This is still in his hometown? Or this tournament?
First tournament is in Kentucky. The second tournament is in Minnesota. This one is in New York.
So okay. So now you're on your turf then.
Yeah. Now this rivalry is traveling from state to state. So when I beat him, everybody stops and I go home. I check my answering machine, and I got almost every major coach in the country giving me offering me to be on a team. And that was the beginning of the success from there. That was the beginning of me beating him consistently back to back was the beginning of, hey, who's this Jotty guy? Let's get him. And the offers just started coming in from that point on. And then I got sponsored by John Paul Mitchell Hair Products, which was the #1 team in the country. And that was like, you got on that team, you was considered like the elite. And I got on that team, and that was it for me. That's when it started, from that point on right there.
Wow. So just hearing that, there's some lessons that I'm getting, but what were the major lessons that you were able to grasp from that whole ordeal with this bluegrass guy who shooed your way, who was actually very talented himself?
Mm-hmm.
And so what lessons did you learn, not only from the winning, but also from the losing, would you say were the top lessons?
Well, I believe you learn more from losing than you ever do from winning, right? You learn more in the peaks than you ever learn at the mountaintops. And the thing for me with the losing was, first I had to reinvent myself, right? Because in desire, you know, desire, your satisfaction is the death of desire, right? I didn't want good. I wanted great. I knew that I wanted to be a great fighter. I knew that being good or winning one tournament was not enough. It was not satisfaction for me. I wanted to dominate. I wanted to make them, great fighters are not going to fear you, but I wanted the respect. And I wanted them to second guess their confidence when they saw me. I wanted them to see me and go, oh, this dude is here. So in the losses, man, I had to realize I had to work harder. I had to want to be greater. I paid attention to detail. I watched. I sacrificed, man. I sacrificed so much. I gave up so many things. I remember one time, brother, I didn't have no job, right? My mother was holding me down at the time. I didn't have a job. And I remember being offered a job. And the brother, it was a correction officer job, and it came with an apartment. And I told the gentleman no. And he was like, you working right now? And I said, no, I'm not working. And he was like, are you crazy? And I said, you ever had a dream that it just meant everything to you and it's in me and I just got to get it out of me? And I said to him, if I take this job, I can't that I need to train to do the things that I want to do. And I'm going to have to let it pass. And I let it pass. And man, brother, that was another crossroad where I wanted to quit, and my mother didn't. She guided me not to. And then there was another. So this is the thing, man. You can't say you want something and think Allah won't test you on it. You can't say I want this and think that there won't be trials and tribulations and temptation thrown in front of you to see how bad you really, really want the thing that you confess that you wanted. And I made sacrifices, man. I gave up stuff. And when I say sacrifices, I'm not talking about giving up stuff that didn't hurt. I'm giving up stuff that hurt. Giving up money, man. Giving up.
Yeah, of course. If you're jobless and a job comes and know that you can't rub two nickels together, but you refuse the position based on the fact that you have to commit yourself to a schedule that take you to the goal that you want. That's a major commitment.
Absolutely. That hurt me, bro. I just wanted to be great. And that was just the thing. I stopped basketball, volleyball, other things. I was like, this is the thing I'm not going to stop. And it has to consume you. It can't be, see, your hobby's not going to beat my passion, right? If you doing it 2 days a week, it is no way in the world you're going to beat me. I'm up 5 o'clock in the morning. And the only reason I'm up 5 o'clock in the morning is because I know you sleeping. Your Christmases, your Easters, your holidays, I'm in that gym. I'm in there. I make sure that if I'm sparring, I'm the last one to get off the floor, right? I am the last one to get off that floor. I'm so competitive with everything. But at the same time, I'm going to watch. I'm not going to be patting myself in the back because what do we say? Ego is like water. You need it to live, but too much will drown you, right? You can't compliment yourself to success. You got to be critical. You got to tell yourself, I'm not fast enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. And I would constantly have those conversations about what needed to be done, how much better I had to get. And that was just, it consumed me. I mean, I wanted to be perfect in the ring. And I never got it. But the more you chase it, the more you chase perfection, when you feel like it's close to you, then it runs away and you chase it again. You get, and at the end of it, man, get at what you do, right? You are evolving yourself. So it just consumed me, brother. That journey changed who I was as a fighter. It changed who I was as a man, as a person, as a father. And that's why I just say your fight style is your lifestyle. What you become, you take with you everywhere you go. You take it with you in business. You take it with you in relationships. You take it with you in how you deal with your friends, who you are. You take it with you everywhere you go.
Correct. Well, I know, again, you're an accomplished martial artist, but at the same time, you are also a huge youth development specialist. You moved on from, I don't know if you're still doing it live, live fighting, sensei. But I know you do have a school where you're instructing young people on a daily basis. Can you tell us how you made that transition from being this world acclaimed, you know, gold medal winning martial artist to now instructing young people, and talk a little bit about your school?
Well, so when I started competing, then I started traveling. And I think that travel is the greatest education that you possibly can give yourself. Traveling is the best education that you can get. I mean, I've been to Russia, Africa, Guatemala, El Salvador, Paris, Italy, all over the world. This a kid from the Bronx whose mother just put him in karate to say, because I remember my mother told me, which goes back to men make men, right? And she said,
Correct.
and I remember one day giving my mother a Father's Day card. And she said to me, thank you, Jody, for this. I'll never forget this. She said, thank you, Jody, for this. She said, but I'm not your father. I'm just a mother trying to do the best she can do by herself. She said, men make men. I can't make you other men. And that was all the transition of karate. So when these little boys come in my school, fatherless, and they mothers, I go back to what another woman told me. I can make you a gentleman, I can't make you no man. Because there are certain things in that male maze of masculinity that only another man can navigate another man through. And so when I see these little boys, they respect I can gain more respect than most of these little boys in the first day than they can with their whole living with their mother 9-10 years. And so we try to instill those lessons that I've learned through martial arts about sacrifice, commitment, focus, dedication, right? Perseverance, those that I've been through in my life, transforming myself from an average guy to a world champion, and being successful at doing it, to putting it on the mat and trying to set them up for success in their everyday life. It's not just that kicking and punching, man. It's who they ultimately become around you, right? Due to your influence. And I think that's the next stage. There's so many stages to it because you have to be a successful businessman. You can't take anybody to a level that you're not at, right? You can't, man, it just gets.
In fact, that's a perfect segue to a question that I wanted to ask you, because we do have accomplished martial artists out there who have done really well on the mat, but at the same time, transitioning what they've done on the mat to successfully open a school where their school is certified and legit and is in business for more than 6 months. Can you talk to us a little bit about the business of the martial arts, and what it takes to be successful, not on the mat necessarily,
Yes,
but in business of teaching the martial arts? Because I just want to tell our viewing audience, what Brother Jody's doing with his school is tremendous. I mean, they have a few vans that's wrapped. The facility is COVID cleaned to the point where, I mean, the Board of Health don't even make any visits anymore. But the success that I've seen with your students, the respect level, I mean, all of that goes into the business of the martial arts. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. So for me, I was winning these tournaments, right? And I might have like 50 students at the time, 60 students. And I'm gonna have 50, 60 students. And I remember this just to segue into the business. I remember my friend Jesse Ray asking me one day, hey, let's go to Miami. And I'm like, okay, let's go. I remember I couldn't afford it. I told them, give me 3 months. Now here I am running around winning all these tournaments, right? And my business couldn't sustain me. And a lot of times we think our 30 years in karate or jiu-jitsu automatically means successful business, and it doesn't. That is one thing. A lot of guys that are black belts, right? One of the worst advice things of advice, build it and they'll come. No, sir. Horrible business advice. And I thought, damn, they'll follow me. Absolutely. So I think that one of the things that you have to do in business is that you have to get around the people who are better than you at business. You have to put your ego to the side and you have to learn what it is with business, the proper handling of people. That is supreme customer service. There is a difference between price and there's a difference between value. If somebody joins my school right now, which is anywhere between $169 and $199 monthly, I give them $400 in value, right? And everything in your school will speak, from the way it smells. See, this is the thing. I say your fight style is your life. You have to grow up as a businessman, business person. I remember one time I walked into my old school. I'm sweating, I'm training hard. And a mother comes in there and she says to me, "This school smells like feet." And I told her, this is how silly I was. I told her, what else is it supposed to smell like? Sweat is the lubrication of champion. That's stupid. right. Terrible business. See, your school has to look better than their apartment. Your school has to look better than wherever they come from to your school. When they go to your school, see, people, it has to be clean, the colors, the way it smells, the way it looks, the way it feels, all of that has to be in your school, right? Everything speaks. The lighting, what's dusty, it has to have. I went to Disneyland. I took my daughter to Disneyland. We go on, my children, my son, we go to Disneyland. We waiting in this line. So I took a picture with Mickey. So I'm in there waiting on the line. I look around, I take my finger, and I do that to see if it was dust. I'm in the corner, brother. It wasn't no dust. I was like, this is why Disney is who they are. They go above and beyond. And I need to have that Disney experience in my school. So the first thing I do is I make sure that when you walk into my school, I say this with no disrespect. Too many people walk into our schools, and I say, and this is what we got to get better at. This got to be Black owned, right? This is what they think based on level of standard that they hold us to. People walk in my school, who own this? Right? I own this. The pictures look like us on the wall. The flyers look like us on the wall, right? So first, I make sure that it's appealing to the person that's coming into school. Second of all, I explain to the parents when they first come in that I don't sign your child up, I sign you up. Your child will only go as far as your dedication into this. You are the GPS. You are the GPS in your child's life. And so,
what do you mean by that? Go into that a little bit more. You're the GPS in your child's life. That needs some explanation.
Yeah, a child can only go as far as the parent's vision of that child. And what happens is most times that a child can live expectations or they could live down to your expectations. As I said earlier, to quit, and there are no quit family. If I would have took that left turn, brother, I'd be working in probably somebody's FedEx office, with regrets. And they say you only old when you got more regrets than dreams. And so my mother, my mother gave me that vision of this is what my plan is for you right now. And even though I was 18, she didn't let me do that. And I see too many parents don't compete with their children as far as when children give their children, they don't know better. These are people who believe in dinosaurs, who believe in purple dinosaurs can talk, who believe in cartoons, and who believe in that there's somebody who's going to come in a chimney in the middle of the projects and leave cookies and gifts on the 25th of December. You are negotiating with that mind. You are negotiating with people who don't know better. You are the God in their life. You are their parents. You are preparing them. And sometimes that means that they have to love their emotions. You got to tell your children, listen, my mother told me, I don't care how you feel. I know imagine going to the doctor and saying, I don't want a needle. Imagine saying, I don't want a shot for whatever, they got to give you a shot for measles or whatever. Imagine going to the dentist saying, don't numb my mouth, that your child has all of those rights. They would never do nothing. One parent told me, I don't force my child to do anything. I said, they go to school, right? So you force them to do something. We all do, right? And it's always to make the child better. So if you don't have a parent that's not committed, it doesn't happen. I don't have any people in my school, in particular children, who are black belts who I don't have a relationship with their mothers and their fathers. Because we have to be on the same page for little Muhammad to get where you gotta go. We all have to be on the same page.
Wow. Jody, as far as, because we did some focus on the young men, and I know the work that you do around the young men, and you laid it out precisely, the reason why we have to focus on our young people, particularly our young men, because, steel sharpens steel, men sharpen men. There's no other way around that particular recipe. But at the same time, I looked at your website and some of the videos I've seen on YouTube. You have some young women that straight up look like they could handle their business. So do you have premier martial artists, women martial artists in your school?
Oh, absolutely. And we have a strong group of them. And I think that this is something that the women help me with in my school, because too many times it is male dominated, it's male privilege. And when I say male privilege, meaning that we speak from the male perspective in karate to women all the time. And and speaking with some of the women in my school, some of the women that have been around me, sometimes they say, Sensei, I could say something. Let me give you an example of things that I've said in the past. Man, stop punching a girl in here, right? Which I got to check myself on that. Or if I remember, this is earlier in my career teaching. I remember if you was a whiny little kid, I put a pink belt on you. Like, put that pink belt, go home with it on, right? And the women was like, yo, that's kind of this. You come across like anything that represents a softer side is wrong. And then listening to them, and not just listening to them, but actually accepting my wrong in that allowed me to grow. And the culture in my school made it more friendly for women to be in that environment, right? And I don't play any games with me dating you. I don't care how beautiful you are. I don't play. This is a safe place for you. This is a place where I'm not looking at you in that manner. We all warriors on this floor. We're gonna sweat, cry, bleed, complain, be mad at each other. We're gonna evolve each other. We're gonna get better, and we're gonna grow in here. And we're gonna become better people, better humans. We're gonna find the God in us. And I think that once you do that and you listen to the perspective of women as well, it creates that kind of environment that everybody can grow inside your school.
So do you have the sisters and brothers cross train? For instance, and what is that dynamic like? Do sometimes the brothers may feel, I don't want to take on this particular challenge because if I hurt her, I may not get cool points, or if she hurts me, I can't come back to the school.
But that's all ego, right? Because I spar with everybody. Visit everybody, come get it, right? So, and the reality is that the only person that's going to help you fight another man is a man, right? But a woman, but see, this is the thing about women in general. Women are better with details, right? They are better. They pay attention to all the nuances that we just want to brawl. But a woman would be like chin down, arm turns. I can be like, look how she does that. You get the beauty of the art from her, and they can get the barbaric side. And when you got that nice combination together, it produces everything that you need in a complete martial art. You get the power, the grace, and the beauty. And women generally bring out the beauty in art. But you got some women in there, don't get me wrong. See, this is the thing. Everybody come to your karate school for different reasons. There's some women that come in there because it's the only place where they can be around men who are going to protect them. Some women come in there because they're not around any other men, or they need to be around other strong women. Nobody comes to the karate school for one reason. And your school has to be a place where it liberates people, right? It has to be a place where it makes people feel welcome. It makes people feel warm. It challenges people. It also has to be a place that we all have to be honest with each other. I have real conversations, just so recently from dealing with women. I have women products where they come in there and cycle that month, I would have never done that. I would never even thought about. I have baby changing stations inside my school. Not to say that men, but when women have some time with their children, they need a place. These are things that we don't consider. But when you get around other women, they make you pay attention to all kind of things that's around you. And it's
Indeed.
just environment. It makes you better as a man, as a business person, because this is the thing. Women judge your business more than men. I remember one particular time I was going to a restaurant, and my mother would be like, I don't want to go to that restaurant. Why not, Mom? I don't like the bathroom. You don't want to eat this restaurant because you don't like the bathroom? She was like, nope, that just told me I better make my bathroom beautiful. Judge you based on your bathroom. That in turn makes my business better. That in turn makes me better. So when I can take advice and hear it, your fight style is your lifestyle. Whatever you're willing to do, it will make you better. Right? If you're willing to listen and receive that information from the community. So it's definitely have benefited me and has changed me as a martial artist. Well, having them in there with that female energy.
Okay. Now let's just take this to some practical aspects. I mean, it's good to learn the katas and everything else. What are some of the experiences in real life that you may have had or your students may have had where this martial arts training literally either saved their lives or prevented them from doing harm to someone else or vice versa?
Well, I'm gonna just tell you, I don't get into fights no more. I think I'm really good at the avoid. But the last time I got in a fight, it was I was with a friend and he's got his phone stolen, and I was inside the store. He comes in the store. Yo, Jotty, man, they stole my phone. I go outside with him. Yo, man, return the guy's phone back, and out of nowhere, it's like 7 of them. And I mean, out of nowhere, my back on his back. I'm like, listen, man, we fighting. And it was funny. It was 2 more people with us, and we just fighting, bro. When I tell you we fighting, and smiling in the fight, I'm having a good time. Remember, in particular, this one lady was begging me. She literally, I had my back on the wall, and I remember putting in this choke, and I had my back on the wall, and I have the guy, and she says to me, please. She walks right up to me and him. I got him. I'm like, you talking all that now, right? I'm talking to him. You talking all that now, right? And then she says, please, please, you're going to kill him. Please. She's begging me. And I'm just sinking it in. I just let him go. But, you know, that's just a story where I had to personally defend myself. I'm good at avoiding things. And I teach my students, learn to avoid things. And when you play the game of chess, the king don't come out right away. He got pawns and rooks and bishops. For the king to move, a piece has to move out the way for the king to move, which means that you have to have filters and layers about you before you decide to attack and before the king is brought out. And I had one student that got in a fight with somebody. He's like, since I had to knock this guy out. And I said, what happened? And he's telling me his words. And I said, where's your filters? Where's your, before somebody gets you to that level, where's your patience and your mercy? And when you can step back and you can analyze, and you just want to use this thing so bad that you're willing to remove all filters just to fight. A king got filters. They said king sinks many councils before he or she goes to war. That has to be you when you're dealing with. Hey, listen, man, stop. Back up. All right. Stop. Because when I give it to you, I have to feel justified. Right? I have to feel like we got in this situation because you passed filter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now you deserve everything I gave you, right? You so it has to be a mercy that comes along with your art. It has to be a patience that comes with your art. There has to be a forgiveness that comes with your art, which means that you have to develop as a person along with your technique. And many of us are so immature with our approach of karate that we only get the physical message. It's like the leader talking. You only get the physical message. You don't go no deeper than what you hear. When there's so many symbolic things, so many things, you know, in karate, my approach is this. My first block is not to be there. Before I block you and all of this, I would rather sidestep you. And somebody made a smart comment about me the other day. And my friend said to me, you ain't gonna say nothing? I said, when a person spars you, you don't always match their aggression with the same aggression. This time, you gotta sidestep, make them miss and watch. And sometimes you make them sidestep them, and they start making stupid mistakes. The same strategy that you apply on that mat has to be able to be applied when you're dealing with people every single day. So I'm real good at avoiding confrontations. I don't get into them. You know, I'm looking at a guy, he go, what you looking at? I'm like, man, you look like my uncle that passed away. You know what that did to him? Come on, man. That took all that yo to, man, you look like, I apologize, bro. You look like my uncle that passed away. How you gonna still be mad at me when I say that?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
I just de-escalate that because you know what, Brother Jacques, I'm doing him a favor by walking away. I'm really doing him a favor, right? So the kids don't come out right away. And those are the things that we have to apply every day. You know, as you know, our system is white, yellow, orange, green, blue, purple, red, and black. White is infancy. Yellow is gold. That's the gold in the earth. Orange, sun just comes up to dawn and you looking straight ahead. Green is the trees. Notice I keep going up. Blue is the sky. Purple is the night. Red is the sun. Black is the universe of God with one with yourself. As your belts progress, so your character supposed to progress. And too many of us get caught up in this only. And then we don't teach the lesson off the mat. But you got to be the thing that you say you are. See, that's the other side of it. You got to be the thing that you say you teaching. And when people like you, and it goes back to business too. If I listen to you. If I trust you, I'll speak. Difference as you gain trust. And how do you gain trust? Through your actions and you keeping up your promises and giving the results that you said that you were going to give, right? So it has to be all connected from what you do on the mat into off the mat.
Got it. So, Brother Jody, how about that student that might be mischievous, that might have a behavioral situation that the school sometimes can't handle, the parents may not be able to handle. How do you handle that young man or woman that comes through your door that you know may be problematic at the very instance? How do you handle those situations?
Well, I think, again, it goes back to transparency in the beginning of the conversation of your expectations and what you expect. I have children and adults. First of all, this is the thing. You have to buy into the culture of my school, right? And what's the culture of my school? Creating the best version of yourself. When you walk into my school, the big sign on the wall that says creating the best version of myself, of yourself. And that means that I'm not comparing, Brother Jacques to Brother Mark, because we all have our own individual strength. Everybody's 100% is different. And it's my job to find your 100%, what makes you and make somebody else. That's my job. But I need you to buy into the culture of that. And if I have somebody, honestly, but that's not buying into the culture, they cannot be in my school. I have the great thing where I can be very selective. Now, I'm not like that with everybody. I have autistic children. I have children that are difficult. But the parent, like if I got a parent that's coming in there cursing and hollering, and I'm talking to you over and over and over again, and you just still choose to be an 85er, right? You can't be in there with me. So and again, all progress is still progress, even slow progress. I'm gonna work with you. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna call you. I make school visits. I make house visits. And not only that, we have the classes that coincide with the lessons. Like every week, there's a weekly theme of a life skill, respect, discipline, socialization, everything. This is just out of 8 of them. We have life skills that we go over every week, so that there is a direct connection to what happens on the floor and to what happens to things that can absolutely change your life, change the life of a child, a parent. And this is the thing. As children get better, the parents get better. I've had parents in my school that were hoverers, helicopter parents. You couldn't say nothing to them or their child. They take everything offensive. To a year in TCK, I got it, sensei. I'm minding my business. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Men make men, sensei. You know, you get they come right into it and they get acclimated to what you're doing. But you know, we have all type of we have over 200 students, and it's just you have all type of people in there. We work with them, but you absolutely have to be trying your best effort in trying to coincide with the coach at my school. If you don't go with the coach in my school is not for everybody, and I'm fine with that. It's not for everybody.
Got it. Sensei, you talked about that this martial arts have taken you around the world, and you've met people from all coaches, from all backgrounds. However, in your travels, the narrative, especially of Black males, have been dictated or have been how could you say, just put out there from the standpoint of some of the videos, music videos that the world sees of us as Black men, some of the violence that they occasionally see on YouTube or wherever. How have you been able to overcome some of those preconceived ideas of who Black men are, or in the martial arts world globally, there's no preconceived notion of who Black men are?
Well, I could just tell you this. First, it starts with wherever you go, you take yourself. In my background, growing up, mosque, you know, seeing strong men about look people in the eyes, shake hands, speak with that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I speak my words clearly because I know how important. I was always taught language is important. Mastering language, understanding language. I look a certain way. I dress a certain way. I conduct myself a certain way. And from a religious standpoint, and also from just a martial arts standpoint, and just from just being around certain people, I think all of those connect to each other. And one is really not different than the other. It allowed me to navigate in those worlds when I don't look like the norm or what. And when they see me, you know, I've been in places giving seminars. The last 5 years, I've been traveling the world doing seminars. Right? I don't compete anymore, but I still fight. I'm still active, right? I've been giving seminars. And plus I want to fight, but I still want to see, you know, old men for counsel. Yep. Oh, I'm still between both, right? So I've not been to places, there are no Black people. You know, I'm in Italy, I'm in Europe, certain places where I walk in, it's, you know, it's what? You know, and you break a lot of those barriers, you know, by the conversations and the relationships that you develop, good friends and homes in all walks of life, right? You and then when they get to know you and then they ask you where you from, and I'm from the Bronx, you know, I have a winter camp. Yeah, I won't be doing it. Well, I'm in the Bronx, and I have people from all over the world who come to my winter camp, and always have this thing of the Bronx, and it goes back to me. I'm going, you think that I live in Vietnam? You think that I live in a war zone? You know, and I'm like, I'm from the Bronx, and they base it off of how they see my character, and then they come there, and this could be offensive, but they get there. This is what 90. Thank you, Malcolm. This is what 99% of them say. Wow, the people here are really nice. Then you go back and you have those conversations with your community. And then oftentimes they come back with 2 and 3 other people in the show, and we all training together and we all working together. Now, that's a superficial sports. People will put their racism to the side for sports. They will ignore racism for 9 innings, 4 quarters. They will do that. But this gives us an opportunity sometime to have those hard conversations that we would have normally not had. I had people from all walks of life asking about the leader. You know, really? And you know, they give me, it's something different about you. They don't necessarily know they see my beard. They may not see my tie, you know, there's something about your background. Well, how did you grow up? How did you get into this? Well, Sister Olivia was the first officer, and then this is how it all goes into, really? Well, I've heard things about it. Well, do I remind you of those things? So you the greatest representation of the minister, how we conduct ourselves, how we act, right? So I think it starts with us, brother. We are, because everywhere you go, you take yourself. So I think it becomes that as well. how you conduct yourself, because you don't know God first, you know God last. People only know how you make them feel. And then they'll ask you, what is it about you that makes you move like this? And then you could bring them into whatever conversation that you want to have, right? And I think that's more important, that we show who we are first.
Correct.
Conversation will start.
Wow. Oh man. I gotta tell you, brother Jody, brother Sensei, we're almost at the very end of our podcast, and this hour flew by. So we're asking anyone on Facebook or YouTube, if you have any questions for our Sensei, take the opportunity now and put it in the comments section so that we can pose to our Sensei. But in the meantime, Sensei, can you tell us how one can become part of the TCK family?
Oh yeah, we're located at 2955 Webster Avenue, Bronx. My phone number is 718-542-8622, or the website is tckmma.com. T as in Tom, C as in cat, K as in kite, MMA.com. And you can easily get in contact. One of our staff members or myself will definitely contact you and set you up for that class.
Excellent. Brother Sensei, what is the biggest barrier, would you say, for a young person to actually begin to consider, training in the martial arts? Because I think, certain folks have certain apprehensions, may say, wow, I don't want to get hurt, or just being a rookie or a novice at anything sometimes could be troubling for someone to kind of enter an institution to become better.
Well, I think it's always intimidating to think about you walking into school alone or with your friend or your mother into a place to associate with violence, right?
That's true.
So I could absolutely understand that. I would tell somebody for a parent, I would say find the why for your child. Analyze the things that your child may need, because it does take a village, and find a school or culture that, because all schools have a different culture that fits with your morals and your child. And for an adult, even a teenager, put your ego and your pride to the side. If you go to a good school, they're going to nurture you. They're not going to beat up on you. They're going to teach you how, why, when. They're going to be patient with you. You're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to be challenged. So you don't just walk in there and start fighting. At least any good school, you shouldn't. So I think find a reputable instructor, because all men are not created equal. All is equal. And this other thing, just look for a program that has value, right? And so I would just tell you, walk into school, ask questions, shop around, look, and just put your pride, and you're not going to get hurt if you're in a good school, and they're definitely going to take care of you. Just put your fears to the side, and you should become pretty good. It's real easy to join the school. It's not hard at all.
Okay. Well, Sensei, I did ask for some questions, and I'm going to get to them, but I also received 2 comments. One is from my brother from District Council 37, which is the largest municipal union in the city of New York with over 150,000 members. And the former vice president of one of the locals, John Powers, states here, he said, where's your statement, brother John Powers? He said, this is so right. You need to bring this brother to DC 37 so he could teach some of them. So he's probably talking about the leadership as well as some of the members as well. And then we have another statement from Kelly Muse Kirkland. She's a phenomenal district attorney out in the county of Kings, and her husband is the principal of Boys Prep in the Bronx. And she said, you need a partnership with Boys Prep, because in fact, Dr. Kirkland was on 2 weeks ago on our podcast talking about the school to prison pipeline and some of the strategies and techniques that he's using now to help break and buzz that pipeline. So after this podcast, I'll actually put you in contact with Dr. Kirkland.
Yeah, both of those. I'll be honored.
Excellent. But going back to our question, we have question from Sensei Danny Danny J, he said, does Master Jody believe the martial arts world will ever be the same post COVID-19?
Yes, I just think that it will. Right now it's difficult, but you adapt, you make adjustments. But I do believe that eventually there's too much at stake for it to remain this way. All right, so I definitely think that it will fix itself. I don't know when, but it will get back to normalcy.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Sensei. And another question says, how can we learn martial arts during the quarantine? I am a woman in the Bay Area.
All right, so I'll give you an example. In my school, we have Zoom classes as well for people that come in. But if you do go to a school, we have heavy bags, wave masters that we do social distancing where everybody 6 feet apart. They have a temperature check. They have masks. They sanitize their hands, and we allow them to train in this environment, but separate. So we're extremely safe. We follow all the guidelines. Extremely cautious. So you still can find a school. Now, be careful of the schools that want to make you have contact and be slick and sneaky. That's not what you want. But you can absolutely still train. You can't maybe do everything from a self-defense standpoint or maybe a jiu-jitsu standpoint, but anything beats a zero, right? So you can still work on your pads, your elbows, your strikes, your knees, your kicks, your footwork, your movement, your defenses. You can still work on all of that during this time. So there's still value in that.
Okay, and we go to Mike Bates. Wait, he says,
Chicago pizza.
Yeah, he said, can you tell everyone how much he loves Chicago pizza? He said, just kidding, brother. Love you, Jody. Keep doing what you do, good brother. Great insight. And I also see Dr. Kirkland is on the line as well. He says, no doubt. And I think this will be a tremendous partnership. Jody, you're a master at what you do. We all know that. And Dr. Kirkland is a master teacher as far as the educational realm is concerned. He does a tremendous job with our young boys at Bronx Prep, and it's a school of over 700 students. Go ahead, brother.
I said we're both in the Bronx, so it makes even more sense. So, yeah, I'm all for breaking that pipeline, like you said, and just trying to make men and find the God. I'm a firm believer in finding the God in you, right? And finding that thing inside of you. I think people don't really understand that these are little gods walking around, man. You know, my daughter said to me, Daddy, yesterday, Daddy, I had a conversation with God. I said, every time you talk to yourself, you're having a conversation with God. Every single time, because you're awakening that thing inside of you. It's so important, the messages that we give each other. We get that man, listen, reflection sometimes is better than prayer. Because when you reflect, it allows you to see what you did wrong and make changes to improve you as a person. And wherever you go, you take yourself with you. And our children need to hear that, and our adults need to hear that. We're so busy looking for divinity in everybody else except ourselves. I definitely think that it all goes, because martial arts is an empowering thing. But what does it empower you to fight? No, that's just one part. It empowers you to become such a wonderful person that in case somebody thinks that they could take advantage of this wonderful human, humble being, that you got the other side for them. Like, but it has to develop you into that. And the martial arts just protects that type of person. Right? So it's all about becoming a better version of themselves, in my opinion.
Excellent. The time is now 4:59, brother Jody. Yes, sir. I just want to thank you for coming on to the All Men Are Not Created Equal podcast. Your fight style is your lifestyle. This has been a tremendous session, and I know all of our viewing audience and listening audience really enjoyed this. And I have to have you on to finish up part two, because there's a whole lot we have part two. There we go, that we haven't finished it. And it's interesting because brother Jody and I come from the same house, mosque number 7. uptown. And when I was much younger and much better looking, I used to get confused with Brother Johnny all the time. So now I gotta grow out. I gotta grow out the beard now, Brother Johnny.
I might have to cut it off, brother. You never know.
But brother, I want to thank you so much. Do you have any parting words for our viewing audience and listening audience?
Man, all I would just tell you is that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around, the books you read, and the music you listen to. And it's so important to have a team of people around you who challenge you, who's not going to yes man you to death, but who's just going to push you to be great as you can. I always tell people, you can't tell somebody, make me good, but don't hurt my feelings. It doesn't work that way. Get yourself in the mindset and the thinking of God above your emotions, above what you feel, how something's going to affect you or what people say. Become great. And greatness happens with trials and tribulations. So put yourself in the thinking of God, see the God in you, search for the God in you. And I wish you guys all the success in life. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again, our Master Sensei. Thank you so much. And again, if you want to reach out to Sensei Johnny, and he does pick up the phone, he's available.
Yep.
As busy as he is, contact him at www.tckmma.com or the number you see on our ticker screen at the bottom of the page, 718-542-8622. And let's help change our lives, change our young people, and change our community into the old aces that it needs to be. And again, thank you so much, Sensei. Oos.
Have a beautiful day, my brother.
Likewise. Appreciate you, fam. Peace.
Peace.